So I was on Facebook Kids and I was reflecting on all things like pandemic related, just thinking about it. And I was saying to myself, like, wow, we are at this particular point about literally 5 years into the pandemic and like the sort of the chaos of it all. It all began really in February of 2020, right? Now we are now in 2025. And as I was giving it some thought, we were all kind of reflecting on just how specifically we remembered the moment and where we were and what we were feeling and what we were doing. And one of the things I very specifically remember from January of 2020, one of the things I don't know who the fuck, okay, because I'm not moving. I don't know what you're asking. This man looking like he want me to move my car because I'm sitting in the car. So you don't know nothing about me. Yeah, I'm sitting in my car and I'm not paying the meter because I'm sitting in the car, so I don't have to. I think it's really hard to process that so much of our lives stopped during that time. And oftentimes, when something like like a canon event happens, I don't always remember like specific details of that event. Like it just sometimes, like the moment, like I'm not a person like in this moment I was doing this or doing that. The only times I can really specifically remember in my lifetime where I have remembered things very, very specifically is I remember what I was doing when Aaliyah died. I remember what I was doing during 9/11. I remember Y2K, from the 99 to the 2000s. I remember that. And I remember specifically where I was, what I was doing, even what I ate that day when Kobe died. I remember everything about it. But a lot of times, everything else, like it just becomes a blur over time, and those events just never became a blur. So the same is also true for COVID. I remember everything about COVID and with such clarity. Like it's just because everything stopped and everything became just so different. Now, let's go back to what I was doing in February of 2020. And I remember this specifically because things have changed for me. February of 2020, I was in downtown Brooklyn and I was getting a free breakfast, a hot breakfast buffet at one of the hotels. This is something that I have done every day for years, decades at this point. I've always just walked into hotels and got breakfast. And I've not paid for my breakfast. I just don't do that, and I've never had a problem. And it takes a lot of audacity. And people are just like, why the heck do you do that? But I'm just like, yo, you get eggs. You can even get cereal if you choose to, but it's a hot breakfast. It's free. I don't know where they're going to dump that stuff out anyway, but I've always done that. The only time I stopped doing that was during this pandemic. So that completely stopped my breakfast hustle. And, I've had to budget for something that I never had to budget for before, but I've never had a problem getting breakfast. So people ask me, how in the heck were you pulling that off? And to this point, actually now, because of, some of the restrictions that, like, I don't see a lot of, like, I have to look for continental breakfasts and things like that now, whereas before, like, I just see them everywhere. People ask me, like, how did I end up pulling this off? Lots of people stay at hotels. So like if you come in during that breakfast window and you just walk in with an incredible audacity, like I said, I don't miss a step, I don't miss a beat. I speak to people. I just go in. I mean, you don't know if I ran to the store. And I mean, I do this I'm saying this is like more in past tense because I haven't really exercised this past COVID because, again, things have gotten weird and I'd go to places and they would do like pack lunches. So I did go to one hotel once and they just were like, okay, do you want the meat version or the vegetarian version? I'm just like, oh, okay, well, do you have anything without pork? Because I don't eat pork. And I had just walked past like a sort of a threshold. I didn't even go to the buffet room. They were like, yeah, the buffet is closed. They were just asking me like, hey, listen, which breakfast do you want? We're getting ready to close the breakfast. So I said, well, I will have the non-pork versions, but it's for me and my sister. She's staying upstairs. So if you can go ahead and give me both of those, then that's fine. The man didn't ask me for no room number, and he just gave me these breakfasts to heat up or whatever the case may be. And then I just, sat in the little like I guess it's like just kind of like a like almost like internal interior courtyard area. I won't. Okay, the city was Chicago when I did that. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, like I sat down for a little bit, then just walked out with my breakfast, and I bounced. Getting free breakfast at hotels, it just no one is asking you. I mean, I guess maybe now. I just don't know what the now is. So I'm only speaking to what I've always done, and I've never been caught. But it's just walking into a place, walking in, getting your breakfast, sitting down. No one's ever said, "Hey, what's your room number?" Like there's certain places that like they don't have the sort of continental breakfast setup. Like in downtown Brooklyn, I've stayed. Well, no, definitely not stayed, but I've walked into like a Hilton and like those people, yeah, they make the Hilton people, they make them pay for their breakfast. Okay. I was like, oh no, you will not be doing me like that. Um, but yeah, the other places, again, I would go and I was working in downtown Brooklyn, so I'd go in there, get the free breakfast, and then walk to my job. I don't feel any kind of way about it because if I didn't eat it, who else was going to do it? Does anybody here work at a hotel? Like, what do y'all do with the food when the food is gone? And if you're gonna tell me drop the floor, like I don't listen, that food is long gone. It done went in one hole and out the other. So I really don't care about that. So you're not gonna get me to be squeamish. I don't care what happened to the food because I'm good. Um, but what happens to the food when nobody eats the food? And I am somehow not convinced that y'all are taking that food and donating it to any good cause. If they were to tell me that they are taking this food and donating it to like some kind of like a homeless mission or a kitchen or something like that, I would feel very, very good about that. But I doubt it. So, that's why I just, my moral compass on this one is more like people have to eat. It's just a condition of being an animal in this ecosystem. We all have to eat. So we don't have to eat each other, right? We don't have to eat our young. And we most certainly don't even have to eat meat, right? There's all kinds of levels to it. But if the food is there and cooked, and again, this is me justifying something that morally may feel a different way for you. So we may or may not agree. But again, for decades of my life, I have received free breakfast by walking into hotels, having a lot of audacity, not skipping a beat, speaking to staff at some particular point, knowing staff names. I've done this in every city. I will stay in a hotel. Let's say I'm somewhere in Houston. I'm staying at a hotel. I go to a hotel down the block and see if their breakfast compares. Even if I like the breakfast that I have at the hotel I have. But that don't mean I can't get something else. Especially if I can warm it up. Yeah, that's the type of stuff that I do.